Yo guys, what's going on? It's SEANO here, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Frost Mage guide for Phase 3 of Season of Discovery. As you can see here, currently Frost Mage is above Fire Mage on the logs. That said, there's only about 15,000 Frost Mage passes, while there's 221,000 Fire Mage passes, but Frost is actually higher up and it's really good. So there's actually two different ways you can play this, but first of all let's talk through the talents, because the talents will always be the same. You'll want 2 in Frost Warding, 3 in Elemental Precision, 2 in Improved Frost Nova, 5 in Ice Shards, 3 in Piercing Ice, 1 in Cold Snap, 3 in Frost Channeling, 5 in Shatter, 1 in Ice Block, 5 in Winter's Chill, this is very important, 1 in Ice Barrier, 5 in Impact, and 5 in Ignite. Now these are the talents that are hard locked. Obviously you don't have Improved Scorch, so you will need a mage in your raid team to pick up Improved Scorch. Ideally, even if you have 2 mages, one of you would be Fire and one of you would be Frost. If you have multiple mages, then it's better off that they go Fire and you provide Winter's Chill, but Frost is still very good, and with luck you'll beat every single Fire Mage. Now for the runes, it depends on what you're doing. So firstly we'll talk about the wrist rune. You'll want the Molten Armor. For the hand rune, you'll want the Living Bomb. For waist it's Frost Firebolt. For legs it's Icy Veins, and for feet it's Spell Power. Now the head and the chest rune changes depending on your gear. So if you're stacking frost damage, you'll take Deep Freeze and Fingers of Frost. If you're taking fire damage, you'll want Burnout and you'll want Temporal Anomaly. The reason we take this one is you can't use Deep Freeze without Fingers of Frost, and it works out better if you're using fire damage just to take Burnout. That said, let's look at the gear. The BiS is the same as my other videos, so I won't go too much into it, except for we're stacking frost damage on this one. So some honorable mentions are the green lens of Frozen Wrath. A few people have mentioned this to me. I did leave it out of the last video, but if you do have engineering, then it's well worth picking this up. Otherwise, the tailoring helmet is very good and underrated. The on use is extremely good, and although on paper some of these other things are better, the on use is just so good on this. I'm not going to go through every item as I said, but the offhand, you'll want to use the frost damage offhand. For the rings, if you can afford it, get 2 freezing bands. It's absolutely ridiculous. If not, you've got the Drake Claw of the Harbinger as usual, and the Glacial Blood Band. Then for the wand, you'll just want to pick up a frost damage wand. If you're using the fire gear, it will look something like this. You'll have Eye of the Flame on the head. You'll have the fire damage offhand instead of the frost one. You'll have the Drake Claw band and the Band of Boiling Blood with the Pyric wand. So I'll just talk about the rotation. Obviously, if you're playing the fire version, you won't have the Deep Freeze, so just ignore that. But you'll want to get Living Bomb on the target. Your friend mage will be getting the Improved Scorch buff onto the enemy anyway. So what we'll be looking to do is Frost Firebolt straight away. The second you get a Fingers of Frost proc, you'll want to use Deep Freeze as soon as you can. Deep Freeze does a lot of damage. If it procs on cooldown, then it's very good. Now for burst damage, what we'll be looking to do is use Icy Veins with our on-use trinket and our tailoring helm. You'll use Icy Veins for 20 seconds, you'll Cold Snap, and you'll use Icy Veins again. It does a lot of damage and it's very good. Same goes for the fire version, but obviously you won't be deep freezing at all. So I'm just quickly in game to look at some consumables. Obviously you'll want to pick up the Dark Moon Fair buff when you can, and the Sunken Temple World buff, which drops in STV. You can just literally AFK in Booty Bay and someone will drop it, then you can boon it. You'll also want to get the Songflowers from Felwood. If you don't know about these, then download Nova World buff. You don't actually have to do the quest yourself, so many people are doing it. So just look at the layers and then there's a timer. When the timer reaches 0, you can pick the flower, then you'll get a world buff and you can just boon it for later. For the rest of the consumables, you want to pick up the new Mojo of Forbidden Magic, increases your spell damage by 40. Successful spell hits have a chance to unleash a Shadow Bolt on the target. It's very good, so you should use this. It lasts quite a long time, but if you die you will lose it, and you can only carry 2 of these at a time. You'll also want the Elixir of Frost Power, the Elixir of Fire Power, the Greater Arcane Elixir. You'll want some Superior Mana Potions. You'll also want to use Nightfin Soup, which gives you 8 MP5. And you'll want Lesser Wizard Oil to apply to the weapon. You'll also want the Mage Scrolls, the Scroll of Power, which gives you 1% crit, and the Scroll of Regeneration, which gives you 8 MP5. They're very rare to get now because of the amount of meme scrolls that have been added to the game, but just get gambling and get those really good scrolls that you want. Now obviously if you're enchanting, you'll also want the Sigil of Living Dreams. It gives you 50 increased damage and healing for 30 minutes, and it's on a 30-minute cooldown, similar to the world buff. As long as you don't die, you can keep this up at all times. A lot of people say to me that this isn't the best anymore and that the alchemy one is the best. Well, the alchemy one doesn't give 50 damage, it gives 30 damage and 12 MP5, but I'd much rather have the 50 damage. But hey, if you're an alchemist, you can use this as well. That's absolutely fine. And of course, if you're an engineer, don't forget to make the braces. The braces are very good. They're better than the Warsong Gulch braces. These are the only consumables available at the moment. Some of the others that I've said before aren't actually available. They took them out the game or hidden the vendors. So it's very sneaky of them, but that's the way it is. But yeah, that's everything on consumables. So hopefully you have everything you need to get into the raid and do some crazy good damage. So this is a clip of me in the raid earlier on. It was a very good raid. It was very fun to play. You can see I'm just maintaining Living Bomb and casting Frost Firebolt. It's a very easy rotation to follow. You can see a lot of crits going on here. It's pushing me up into the top 4 on damage, and the other mage is not even in the top 12 yet. But you can see crit after crit after crit. It's really good, and it's good for the ignite damage. So obviously if you are stacking that fire damage, then the ignites are going to be a lot bigger. But if you're stacking the frost damage, then of course the deep freezes are going to be bigger. So it's up to you which kind of style you want to play, but you can see here it's so much fun to play, and it's very simple. You're bringing a lot to the team as well, because that Winter's Chill is actually buffing the Shadow Priest as well. But yeah, it's very fun, and I hope this guide was of use to you. If you have any questions or anything, just leave a comment below. But yeah, have a lovely day.